speech. I am unable to provide two-person audience. Couldn't find anyone. I understand the ramifications associated with that, sir. I apologize. Here we go. At what point, then, is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if it even reach us, it must spring up amongst us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men, we must live through all time or die by suicide. Abraham Lincoln said that in a speech he gave in 1838, 175 years ago. To think that that man would know where the country would be headed. I'm speaking, of course, of destruction from within. We have become the nation of accommodation, and it is this accommodation that will be our suicide. I used to work for a retail company, and their policy on theft frustrated me, to say the least. We, as employees, were instructed to not confront the thief. I use the term thief and not shoplifter because I believe the latter makes the individual seem less grotesque. The thief was to be treated like any other paying customer. We were to be cordial, accommodating, and courteous. We were not permitted to tell the thief to remove the stolen item from its hiding place. We let the thief simply walk out the door with whatever they felt like they needed to take from us. What does this teach society? When that thief gets home and tells his friends and family, they just let me walk out the door with it. They won't even stop you. Steal whatever you want. Society needs to grow a damn backbone and quit worrying about getting sued because somebody was accused of something. Stand up for what feels right, and then get rewarded for doing so, not punished and scrutinized. We can assure that that happens by having new judges in place that won't rule in favor of completely ridiculous and absurd rulings. Yes, everyone has their definition of right, but the one that I think is the most acceptable for today's society is the one that makes me feel the best. It's the set of morals my grandparents had. I think this country would benefit greatly, beyond words, from having its moral compass sent back in time 100 years. We need to have the rules enforced. We can no longer afford to have the laws treated like haphazard recommendations. Congressman J.D. Hayworth said this while addressing the House of Representatives. The American people likewise want to see enforcement first. No tricks, no triggers, no amnesty. Enforcing existing laws and closing loopholes to reaffirm that our great republic is in fact a nation of laws. We are a nation of laws, but do people really believe in them? Are those laws respected? We who write them have a responsibility, an obligation to uphold them. Ronald Reagan said, "We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars." And it's been said, if we lose that war, and in so doing so this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening. Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by our founding fathers. This country needs a wake-up call, and I pray it happens sooner than later. Yeah, I said pray. Our founding fathers made sure I could do that and say that. They founded this nation on principles that they themselves formed using their own religious views. In 1796, George Washington said, "And let us with caution indulge the supposition that morality can be maintained without religion. Whatever may be conceded to the influence of refined, educated on minds of peculiar structure, reason and experience both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in exclusion of religious principle. We need religion to be more involved in the lives of today's citizens. It is the basis of the moral fabric that makes this country exceptional. Religion builds in us a responsibility and just reasoning. Our federal government could use some help with just reasoning. Thomas Jefferson warned us back in 1802. If we can but prevent the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them. Here's your solution. All these changes, teaching that theft is unacceptable, the laws that are to be obeyed and enforced, that religion is a cornerstone for this country's future greatness. All of these things start with one thing. Parents. The parents need to shape their children and guide their development. It all starts with the parents. We have to effect monumental change. We can no longer afford to cater to scum. Ronald Reagan had a little something to say about appeasement. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this. But every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this, the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement, and it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay. There is a point beyond which they must not advance. What's that point? How far are we willing to let this country slide down into the depths of mediocrity, extreme accommodation, of no accountability? When do we say enough is enough? When does that happen? I leave you with the words of Abraham Lincoln, the ones he so chose to end his Cooper Union address. Neither let us be slandered from our duty by false accusations against us, nor frightened from it by menaces of destruction to the government, nor of dungeons to ourselves. Let us have faith that right makes might, and in that faith, let us to the end dare to do our duty as we understand it.